As the 2013 legislative session gets underway, we at the Utah League of Cities and Towns are pleased to have a chance to sit down with the Speaker of the House. Madam Speaker, Rebecca Lockhart, thank you for giving us the opportunity to chat with you once again. How do you think the face of the legislature, since it's changed so much, is going to change the interaction and the tone of the debate?
Oh gosh, that's hard to say because we haven't all been together, right, in that context yet. But one of the great things about our new class of freshmen is that they're all very successful in their own right, in their own professions, right? And so they're very self-assured and go-getters, and they have ideas and an agenda that they want to bring forward, and they're just raring to go.
One of the issues on the minds of the entire nation has been healthcare for quite some time now.
Oh, yes.
We're at a point when Utah is really going to have to address this and decide to what degree we want to partner with the federal government, right?
The Affordable Care Act, or Obamacare, as even the president now calls it, so I feel like I can say that without people thinking I'm being rude or whatever, right? So Obamacare creates a lot of questions, a lot of uncertainty for the states. So one of the parts about that legislation was Medicaid expansion, and originally in the legislation it was a forced expansion. All the states were going to have to do it, but when the Supreme Court heard the case, that was, as states, one of the things we're happy about is that the court said you can't be forced to do that. So that is a decision that the state needs to make. The decision, the official decision, is left up to the governor, but of course he's been very willing to work with the legislature and see where we're at on the issue, because the reality is the legislature controls the money, so we would have to fund it. The other issue has to do with the exchanges. Everyone going on to these exchanges to find their health insurance coverage, and whether or not the state wants to do that, or whether we have some sort of partnership, or whether we just leave it up to the feds. So that's another question that's really timely. And me personally, I would prefer that we just let the feds do it. It was their legislation. They voted for it. None of our congressional delegation voted for it, though. So I would just assume that a federal law be implemented by the federal government, and we stay out of it.
Will there be strings attached?
Generally, what we've learned is that the feds say, here's what you do if you want the money, and we comply and put in more of our own state money with no control.
Gun laws right now are also on the minds of the nation due to a couple of serious tragedies that we've seen. The Second Amendment is so important to the nation, to Utahns especially. Do you foresee any changes coming to how gun laws affect people in Utah?
Just because of the context of this year, we're going to have gun bills just like we always do, but this year it's going to be a bit more heightened, I think a little bit more attention.
It seems every year transportation issues come up, and as we drive home at night and we hit those potholes when we're just traveling through our neighborhood roadways, what are we going to do to fund the repair of those roads? There's some talk about whether or not it's necessary to raise the gas tax. What's your opinion?
Yeah. The gas tax is a dying revenue source, right? It's a user fee, if you will. The problem with the gas tax and why it loses value is because we have more fuel-efficient vehicles. We have alternate fuel vehicles who don't use gas, who use natural gas or electricity or something like that. And so you still have the users on the road, but not paying the user fee, i.e. the tax on gas. And so the more we have those kinds of vehicles out there, the less we collect, if you will, of that user fee, and the less that it buys in terms of the maintenance that we need on our roads and the new capacity and those kinds of things. So it really is, that's not going to change. The cars are going to continue to get more and more efficient, and we're going to use less and less gas for the mileage that we drive. Those issues really lead to it being a dying revenue source. So we talk about increasing the gas tax, which works maybe for a couple of years. You get a bang, right? You get the nickel or the dime or whatever it is that the legislature imposes, but there's no inflationary factor on it, so you lose the buying power over time. So the last time we increased the gas tax was '97, and it's been a long time, right? And the buying power is very minimal compared to what it was then. So that's why there's talk about increasing the gas tax or putting on an inflationary factor onto the gas tax. I would say that that's probably going to be discussed, but probably not implemented.
Are we going to see any changes this year when it comes to how Utah sells alcohol?
I mean, we're going to talk about alcohol. This is Utah, right? We always do. We might talk about licenses, master licenses. For instance, you have like hotels. There are many hotels that have a liquor license for their restaurant, for their catering and their room service, for various things that they do. So they have multiple licenses. And so I think we're going to talk about and maybe consider creating a master license so that there's only one license for the entire hotel. As much as a lot of people would like us to, we're not going to privatize. It's just, we're going to be a control state. So what we do year to year is look at ways that we can make changes that will enable economic development and people to come here, and when they come here they don't feel like we're weird or crazy or
Speaker Lockhart, on behalf of the Utah League of Cities and Towns, thank you once again. Good luck with the session, and we appreciate you sitting down with us to give us a preview of what we can expect. I'm Susan Wood reporting for the Utah League of Cities and Towns.